Hello, hello, hello. Here with another of AVK Wealth financial education channel, helping you with all your financial education needs. Today, we are going to have a banger of an episode. We are going to be answering the question, why does schools not teach financial education? It is a question that has plagued me for a long time because everyone I always talk to, when you talk to them about money or um, why do they not have more education on the matter? Why do they not know about real estate or investments? And then they say, well, school doesn't teach anything about financial education. And I've been looking all over the internet to try to find something about somebody talking about why it's not taught in schools. What is the issue with it? Kind of helping us understand, how did we get here? Why are we the way we are as far as our thought process on money, on how we invest it, what do we do with it? Now, again, my name is Andrew Contaxis. I've been a teacher the last 20 years. I've been in the education field, but I've been getting more and more onto the financial education side of things on that B&I quadrant of the Robert Kiyosaki cash flow quadrant. I have several investment properties that I have. I'm currently running this business, AVK Wealth, running this channel. So I have a lot to say on education, and I have a lot to say on financial education and the difference between the two. So we have a really, really good episode today. But before we start this off, please like and subscribe if you get value out of this video, because I think it's really important to give value to everyone out there, especially on this subject, because people talk about being coaches, people being experts, and talking about education. But I don't see a lot of people who are in education talking about education. There's people in the business sector talking about education. There's people in the business sector talking about what it's like to teach or be a coach, but they don't have that necessarily same background that I do, or it's what I do for a living. I educate people. I move people from one space to the next space or from one point to the next. And I help them learn very systematically. And I'm very good at doing that. And so I have a very unique insight, and to be able to walk you through that process of why, well, again, why did you get here? How did we get here? Why do you have the thought process? Why is it the only thought process we have when it comes to money is, what did mom and dad teach us? Or what did a friend teach you? Or taking advice from a friend and not knowing more? And why did the school system let you down on that one? Now, before we begin, also, I got my Zoa. Danny Garcia, Dave Ramsey, or The Rock, if you're out there and you want to sponsor this video by me, you are more than welcome. I would love to be sponsored by Zoa. If not, I'm going to continue to drink this. It is delicious. It gives me the energy that I need to go for the day. So, why is there no financial education? Let's start with a great source. I had this question. I've talked to lots of different people about it, but my biggest question is, I wanted some answers. So I decided to talk to ChatGPT about what ChatGPT thinks, the smartest AI system in the world. Why does ChatGPT think that financial education is not taught in our system? So I'm going to share my screen. Let's go to ChatGPT here. Now, let me go all the way back to the beginning here. I wrote, let me move my screen over here. Why is financial education not taught in the public education grades K through 12? And it gave me, there are several reasons why financial education is not taught, universally taught in public education's grade through 12. Curriculum overload. Schools already have a packed curriculum with core subjects like math, science, language arts, social studies. Adding financial education could mean cutting time from these subjects. Again, granted, I think is very important. We need to definitely teach those core subjects because, again, students, whether you're a kindergarten, fifth grader, eighth grader, 12th grader, they need to be able to do all these things, have those basic, be able to read, write, add, subtract, be able to read, have some global concepts when it comes to social studies, understand those science concepts when it comes to the weather, the world around them. Standardized testing focus. Many schools focus heavily on subjects that are tested in standardized exams, which often do not include financial literacy. Also true, because schools need to get money, and how do you get money is, how do kids perform in that school? It gives you your school grade, or it gives you some sort of metric that says your school is performing at such and such level, and therefore can get funding from the state and the federal governments based on that factor, among many other factors. Lack of resources and expertise. Not all schools have the resources or teachers with expertise to effectively teach financial education. I would 1,000% agree with that. Most of the teachers that get involved in school are good at math, science, language arts, social studies. And whether that's K to 5, that's middle school 6 to 8, or whether that's 9 to 12, or even you're looking at the collegiate level, college, you don't have a lot of people coming from the banking industry, coming from Wall Street, coming over to the schools to teach these subjects. Varied priorities. Different states and school districts have different educational priorities and standards. Financial literacy may not be seen as a priority compared to other subjects. Now, I definitely have my opinions on that, and I would definitely agree with that subject as well. That's just unfortunate. Parent responsibility. There's a belief that financial education should be taught at home by parents rather than in schools. I think that would be the prevailing belief. I believe that's what we have currently. What do kids learn about money? Well, they learn it from mom and dad or uncle and auntie. They love it from grandma and grandpa, whoever that is that's around you, because you grow up around them and you live in a household and you see how groceries are bought and you see how cars are bought, you see how people run their houses, you see people run their personal finances, you see people say, well, I'm poor, or I'm rich, or whatever it is. All those ideas are transferred down to their children. And again, I think that's kind of currently where we are, where the parents have that responsibility to teach that. And I think parents should do that. But if you don't have money or you're not good with money or you're a consumer, you may not be the best person to teach about financial education or financial responsibility or financial literacy, whatever. Next, policy and funding issues. Implementing a new subject into the curriculum requires policy changes, funding, which can be challenging to secure. I 100% agree with that because schools only get so much money, and schools have to put money in order for students to perform. And how do they perform? They perform on standardized tests, which go back to the reading, writing, math, social studies, science. You need to fund those things because that's how schools get their funding. That's where the emphasis is put on student learning. And again, I would agree with that to an extent that you have to put that. But what are we doing with our children when they get out of college? I mean, our schools do a fantastic job teaching professionals. We teach them how to be lawyers and doctors and teachers and technology experts and coding experts, and we teach them all sorts of things. And I think that's a fantastic job. But the problem is they get paid money. What do they do with that money? What do they do once they get paid with all that? That is a issue. Next, historical oversight. Financial literacy has not traditionally been a part of the K-12 curriculum, so it often gets overlooked. Again, I would agree with that. Now, I went on to ask it, if that is the purpose of the government is the person who creates schools, make sure they pay teachers, like I'm a government employee, I know who I work for. Does it want its people to be financially ignorant? Does it want its people not to understand about money? Um, and so ChatGPT says it's not accurate to say that the government wants its people to be financially ignorant. In fact, many government agencies and makers recognize the importance of financial literacy, agree with that statement, and have taken steps to improve it. However, there are 7 factors that contribute to the current state of financial education. Bureaucratic changes. Implementing widespread changes in education can be slow, like molasses. I agree with that. Competing priorities. Governments must balance these different priorities: public health, safety, infrastructure, education, financial literacy. So there's a lot the government's got to allocate to. Local control of education, because education goes to the states. That's not a power that the federal government necessarily has, but it definitely supports that. United States education is probably managed at the state and the local levels. This means there can be significant variability in the inclusion of financial education across different regions. Incremental progress. Financial literacy initiatives are being developed, but progress can be incrementally slow. But for example, some states have begun to require personal finance courses for high school graduation, which we'll take a look at. In support of financial literacy programs, various government agencies, such as the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, provide resources and support financial literacy programs. Additionally, for some public schools, have stated to corporate financial literacy in their curricula, again, which is also good. But as you can see here, there is not this big, massive push to grow. So where the government again creates an amazing W-2 employee, we create amazing lawyers, we create amazing doctors, but then they're poor because they don't know what to do with their money. They're trained to do these amazing jobs and do these amazing things and help society. But when it comes to being compensated and compensated sometimes very highly or lowly, they don't know what to do with that money because they've never been taught that in schools. They've been taught to be an employee. Now, I said, do you think financial literacy is not taught in school because the government benefits more from the citizens becoming a W 2 employee rather than the business owners who pay less in taxes? And if so, why does the tax code benefit business owners more than W 2 employees that make up most of American society? It took ChatGPT a minute to come up with this answer. But to the financial literacy and education system, curriculum decisions often are overlooked due to curriculum constraints. We talked about standardized testing. We talked about resource allocation that it needs to be spread apart. Now it talks about the employment and tax policy. Governments often prioritize economic stability and growth. Having a workforce with a stable W 2 employment can be seen as a way to ensure steady flow of income tax revenue and economic stability. I think this is a huge key that ChatGPT is chiming us into. We need to have W 2 employees that pay taxes. That's how our government runs. And even though the tax code favors businesses that give them a lot more opportunities because businesses create jobs, they create opportunities, they can benefit society, but all they pay less in taxes. W 2 employees, whether doesn't matter what you do, if you earn income, you are the one who are getting some of that income from taking from your paycheck and it's giving it to the government. The government needs that constant flow of money coming into it so it can fund itself. So we need to prioritize creating W-2 employees, which means your lawyers, your doctors, your teachers, your trash people, people who work for McDonald's or Target, whatever, they need that. Tax code structure. The tax code benefits business owners through deductions and credits. So yes, we talked about that the tax code structure definitely favors businesses because they're creating those jobs, they're creating those W-2 employees. And the political history factors. Tax code has evolved over time, influenced by lobbying. So people who have interest in these businesses will make sure it impacts them better than it impacts W-2 employees. And then it talks about the impact on society. Again, going back to why is this not taught in schools? Society needs a mix of employees and business owners, while W-2 employees provide stability to the workforce, economy, and business owners drive innovation and growth. Both roles are essential for a balanced and dynamic economy. Again, agreed. But if you look over here, the W-2 employee provides stability to the workforce while businesses drive innovation and growth, but the stability comes from the workforce. So basically, my thought based on what ChatGPT has said is you need those W 2 employees. You need to create more of them. And again, it says there does need to be a mix of this, but it doesn't say there needs to be a balance. It just says mix. And the W 2 employee creates that stability while the business owners drive the innovation and growth. But you need less of them. I would suppose by ChatGPT's definition, maybe you have a different definition. And our last one, education reform. Increasing recognition of the importance of financial literacy is leading to efforts to integrate into the education system. So we are going to talk about that here. I have my list of notes down here. Um, Personal opinion, real quickly before we hop into all the school stuff. I agree with this. I agree that we need a strong W 2 workforce, and I think that's very important. But the problem is the W 2 workforce, our employees, the people that we train to go be these professionals in school, don't know anything about money. And it's my personal brand here that if you know better, you would do better. I'm not saying that you would not be a lawyer. I'm not saying that you would not be a doctor or a teacher. I'm not saying that you wouldn't be those things. But if you had more financial literacy, you might make different decisions. You might make different investments. You might sit there and say, I can be this lawyer, I can make all this money, and I can invest it So I'm not as broke as I normally am because you can sit there and say a lawyer makes a ton of money. They can make 200, 300, 400,000, but they're paying so much in their house, their cars, their student loans that when at the end of the day, they're breaking even, or maybe they make a little money, but then they spend that money, but they don't know how to invest it, which comes the financial education piece of it. So I believe that you have a system that's designed for W-2 employees. And then I think that you have people who run it that do not know the business side of it, that do not know um, the financial education because we're just not trained in it. That's just not how it works. That's why when you say they're rich, their kids are also rich because they're getting that education from people who have the knowledge about it. So, where does this start? Let's go back to the beginning. Well, I'm in the state of Florida, so let's look at the state of Florida. The state of Florida has this site called CPALMS. Let me move my face over here. CPALMS. CPALMS. Now, first off, you have to know, where is the financial education taught? Well, it's not taught in any of these subjects here. It's actually really weird. It's actually taught in social studies, as weird as it is. So first, let's talk about that. You have, well, actually, let me take a step back. In K to 5 here, you have regular K through 5 teachers who are certified in K through 5 or K to 6 or elementary education. They're elementary teachers. They are quote unquote certified to teach financial education in these particular grade levels. Now, when it comes to 6 to 12, or maybe you have a 6 to 8, depending on the state or you're in, you have 6 to 8 or 9 to 12, there's a variety of different certifications based on the different states and what they're looking for. In the state of Florida, you can be K to 5 certified in elementary, and then middle school, you can be 6 to 12. So elementary teachers can teach financial education right here, and then social studies teachers can teach education right in here. So keep in mind, social studies teachers, let's talk about 6 to 8, they're designed to teach social studies, history, world, and I can teach economy, right? I can teach about trade and ebb and flow of goods and services and how they went from one area to the next and how they impacted countries. I can definitely do that. But when you're talking about financial education, when you're talking about personal finances, when you're talking about exchange of money and how do you invest it for 2024, whatever time period you're watching this in, it's very different than talking about, I don't know, um, trade from England to the United States. So you're talking about the silk trade from England all the way to India. And you're talking about these different trades. It's very different than you're talking about personal finance and how do you file taxes today. So let's look at our kindergarten. Kindergarten, you can see social studies teaches a variety of different topics here. But if you look at our economics, let's go into here. They start teaching this in kindergarten. Describe different types of jobs that people do. Recognize the United States currency comes in different forms. Recognize that people work to earn money to buy things. Identify the difference between basic needs and wants. Great stuff. However, this is very consumer based. It's teaching you kind of about money, and that W-2 mentality is being grown right here. Starts right here. If you look at these particular 4 standards. So, again, financial education, I would agree, but the education is designed for that W-2 mindset. And we go back to, let's go chat GPT. Let's go back all the way over here. Your emphasis is going to be put on the math, science, language, arts, and social studies. So even if you have the opportunity to teach these, you're probably not, because you're teaching reading and math and you're teaching science and social studies, and you may have a lesson. Heck, you may even have 2 or 3 lessons, but that's not driven home every single day. Now, let's go to a higher level. Let's go to 8th grade. 8th grade, right here. 8th grade, we have our economics. You have different blocks and you have lots of standards in here. Let me just pick this one. Doesn't matter. Hmm, maybe not there. Go back. Let me go back to these. Oh, not pulling up. I think I missed 8th grade. I think I know what I did wrong. I didn't click on the arrows. There we go. There's one here. There we go. 3 here. Oh, no, there's the financial literacy. My mistake. I made a mistake. It wasn't under economics, under financial literacy. There we go. You have all these different blocks here of standards, and then they go down here and you can see all the different standards in financial education. So there's 8 here, and there's a lot of standards that are being taught. So there's 5 here. So it doesn't give you the full standard when you pull it up in CPOMs, but analyze sources and incentives and providing information. Describe the variety of payment methods people can use in order to buy goods, right? So this is all well and good. This is fantastic. I love that the fact the state of Florida is implementing financial literacy standards into its curriculum. Now, let's go back to ChatGPT. Its focus is on standardized testing. It does not have expert or resource, lack of resources. What are you going to use to teach that? And again, the curriculum, where is it saying? In the curriculum is meant to be taught in math, science, language arts, and social studies. So what does that mean? That means that you have the option of teaching these things, but it's not what teachers teach. Because what teachers teach, let me pull up, here's an 8th grade curriculum map. This is what teachers are given at the beginning of each year to teach. So if you look at a curriculum map, this is unit 10. This is 8th grade U.S. history. This is what they give teachers to teach. If you look at it, you may not be able to understand this very well, but each one of these things are standard over here. Social studies, 8th grade. They have American history 1, 2. I know that A doesn't stand for American history, but I forget what it stands for at the particular time. But you can look at analyze charts, graphs, maps, photography, timelines, analyze political cartoons, determine causes and effect. That's what you're teaching. Let's come down here. Examine key events in people's in Florida history as each impacts an era of an American history. Compare and contrast the 1838 Florida Constitution and the 1868 Florida Constitution. This is what teachers are meant to teach. So this is the social studies stuff that you have certified people teaching. Now, if you go over here and look at the E, there is no E over here. There is no economic standards being taught. If you go down to here, here's unit 6. Here's a different unit. You have 15 days to teach this. Now, I'm not breaking down a curriculum map for you, but I just want you to understand the basic. Oh, we have an E right here, SS8E for your economics. Or if you go back to your financial literacy, go back over here. This is under FL, SS8FL. There's no FL. You just have economics. So examine the motivating economic factors that influence the development of the United States economy over time. Where's the FL standards? It's not in here. So even though the state of Florida says, hey, if you're in 8th grade, you're supposed to teach American history, geography, economics, civics, government, financial literacy, and you have all these different standards in here. You can look at all the different standards that pull up. You have all these different standards. That's not what's in the curriculum map that is being taught. This is the curriculum map. This is what teachers teach. So again, it goes back to we're not teaching the financial education component. We're just teaching the work component, the W-2 component, just understanding the world around you. And again, I don't want to diminish this at all. This is important. We definitely need to know our history because we're doomed to make the mistakes. But it's not the point of this channel. The channel is talking about financial education and why it's not taught. So it's clearly not taught here. And then let's go to high school. Let's look at what it would mean to be in high school. This is a particular high school that has standard diploma requirements. This is for Florida. It's a general Florida school. And you need ELA credits, you need math credits, you need science credits, and you need social studies credits. Sorry, the computer is moving up and down. And you need science credits and social studies credits. You need a world history, a U.S. history, a U.S. government, and you need 0.5 economic credits. Where is the financial education? Where is it? It's not in here. You don't need it to necessarily graduate from high school. So now, is it taught? Absolutely, it is taught in here, but you have to specifically go into it. So if we're looking again at our K to 8, let's zoom this back in. If we're looking at our K to 8, yeah, the financial education standards are built within the state of Florida's curriculum for social studies. You have to have elementary teachers who can teach this. You can have social studies teachers that teach this. It's built in, but it's not built into the curriculum because if you're looking at the curriculum, it's not there. Now, can you teach it? Absolutely. But you may be penalized if you're a teacher, if you're supposed to be teaching this and you're teaching financial education. And then when you go to high school and you're looking at, man, I need to graduate from high school, I need some financial education. It's not taught here. Now, again, this is pretty standardized stuff that you need ELA classes to graduate. You need math classes like your Algebra 1, your geometry. You need your like bio, like a world history, U.S. government, you need all that. And there's some other pathways. Now it tells you about the state system. How do you get in? Well, you need a GPA, English, math, natural science, social sciences. You need 3 credits for that, world language. Nowhere does it say financial education anywhere in here. Now I do want to go to high school because this is a course curriculum and go down here to it's page 50. So let me go down here. This is math. We are sciences, social studies. There we go. You have economics with financial literacy, point 5, and what does it teach? The primary content emphasis on the course pertains to the study of the concepts and the processes of the national and international economic systems, but not limited to currency, banking, monetary policy, economic major theories, economic economists, the role of influence of government, fiscal policy. So it's in here. You can even take it with honors. Then you have personal literacy, but keep in mind these credits are only half a semester. Half a semester. That's it. That's it. That's all you get. Half a semester. Your 12 years of education. You may get some education sprinkled in here, sprinkled in there, sprinkled somewhere. But when you go to high school, you can only take 0.5, point of that's like a semester. That is like 4 or 5 months of all of this. Now, I want to break this down even further. So let's say you take that class. Let's say I'm going to take the personal finance literacy course. I'm going to take the economics with the financial literacy course. Let's look into that. So here is an introduction to this. So this is a curriculum map very specifically for the high school class. This is for your economics with the financial education. So you can look at it. Now, again, I'm not expecting you to understand all of this. This is not the point to go into this very deeply. It's just to kind of let you know what is being taught. I can analyze production possibly or possibly curves to explain choice, scarcity, and opportunity costs. Here's your definitions. Talking about opportunity costs, not necessarily financial education, like how to do your taxes or how to pay bills. I'm going to come down here. You have unit 2, economic systems. I can compare various economic systems, traditional market, a command market. This is great, right? We need to know about different type of markets, socialism, capitalism, economic goals. These are important things. I don't want to sit there and take away from anything, but keep in mind, this is your point 5 class. This is jammed in 4 months. And you're supposed to know this. And again, we still haven't gotten to personal finance. Money comes in, what are your expenses? How do you figure that out? Credit cards, all that kind of stuff. So let's keep on going. So now we're in the global economy, right? I can discuss and affects barriers to trade in nationals, why nationals sometimes erect barriers to trade. Getting good stuff, not financial education. Let's keep it going. Supply and demand, very important one. You can make an argument this could have something to do with personal finance when you're talking about quantity and demands, and this could get into business, and this is really good stuff. But again, still not personal finance. Let's keep it moving. and that's all your different activities. Unit 5, market structures and business organizations, buying goods and services. We talk about monopolies, oligopolies, monopolistic, competition, pure competition. Still not personal finance in that point 5. It's just mind-boggling about why we're so bad with money as people. It's just not taught, even when you do get to it, right? Then you have fiscal policy, monetary policy. Oh, and now we have taxes, right? I can see proportional tax over here, discount rates, reserve requirements, open markets. Like we have taxation and spending, again based on fiscal policy. But yes, we're talking about taxes, but are we talking about personal finance? Something has to do with you and your family that you could take away today, and not talking about government tax. And again, keep in mind, all important stuff that we should know, but this has nothing to do with you and your money. I mean, it kind of does, but keep on going. Financing higher education and earning income. Now, I actually think that this would be important. If you're planning to go to college, you need to know about, wages, property taxes, income. So we're getting into the good stuff now, right? I can develop an argument by analyzing and synthesizing information from multiple sources about how earning of workers are determined. Finally, in Unit 8, we're getting to some good stuff. We're talking about sales tax, job benefits, loans, unsubsidized loans. And this has to go with your going to college. Construct a 1-year budget plan for a specific career path. Discuss that people choose jobs or careers which they're qualified for. Discuss that people choose jobs or careers that they're qualified based on non-income factors such as job satisfaction. So again, we get into it. But now you're looking at, this is more for W-2 employees. This is how to be a good worker, how to choose jobs, how to figure out how to go to school so you can get that good job once you get that degree. Let's keep it moving. Banking and using credit, Unit 9. Inflation, interest, real interest rates, nominal interest rates, savings, CDs, IRAs, Roth, money market accounts, mobile payment services. Yes, this is the good stuff that we need to be getting to. But it's buried in Unit 9 of a semester long course that's at the very tail end. And again, great stuff. How long are they going to be teaching this? A day, 2 days, maybe a week, 2 weeks, and that's all the education you get in this? How are we utilizing this? How are we taking this and leaving it? Now, again, they have a bunch of other stuff in here, but again, let's just keep it moving. See what else it has in here for us. Protecting, insuring, and investing. Life insurance, health insurance, homeowners insurance, vehicle insurance, liability insurance, premiums, renters insurance, identity theft. Again, great stuff that we need to be talking about, buried at the very end of this course. Home mortgages, fantastic stuff, but buried at the end. So where there's some great stuff, this is also geared towards buying a home, but it doesn't tell you how to be responsible. Like describe, explain how people can lower their insurance, but it doesn't tell you necessarily how to manage this. So even though it's good, it's in here, it's there. Do we have a Unit 11? I don't think so. No. So let me go back to my CPOMs. So even though, let's get out of 8th grade here. It's in your 9th to 12th grade standards. Look over here. We have your financial literacy right here. It's in the 9th to 12th grade standards. Even though all this is in here, now I can pull down at any of these drop boxes is in here. It's buried into a semester-long course. And you are juggling so much information. There's so much going into it. And you can't cover it all. And then once you're done, you're like, see you later. I'll get back to you. We're going back to our let's go back to our graduation requirements over here. Let's go back to our graduation requirements, going back to the very end over here. No, these are still our Sorry, the computer's loading slowly. There we go. But all you need is a half a semester's credit, and then off to the races you go. You go to college, you can start working, you can start doing it. But again, financial education is barely taught in here. And then I'm going to take it one step further. Let's say that you graduate and now you get to go to college. Let's go to our University of Florida system over here. Right? We're in the University of Florida. We're looking at degrees. We're looking at undergraduate degrees. Let's type in financial education. No degrees found. You cannot major in financial education. You just can't. But if I erase this, and you can go into accounting, I would sit there and say is a great version of financial education, learning about money and how it works. But you can pay a pretty penny to go to if this is in state. Now, if it's out of state, you're paying a ton per credit hour. And this is a 4-year program. And we're going to get down here to the actual nuts and bolts of it. Let's get back down here to the nuts and bolts of it. Cost accounting, accounting skills. There we go. View all accounting courses. So we get into your admission requirements. Don't care about that degree requirements. Don't care about. Now again, those are important, but I just want to get down to the core. You're getting into intermediate accounting financing, business financing, management of organizations, marketing, quantitative business tools. Again, I think all these are great things if you're going to be an accountant or if you're going to get into working for someone else. That W-2 mentality. But this doesn't tell you about personal finance. Now, again, I think this would be the closest thing to kind of help you about personal finance. And you get your business stuff and you hear about how to become a business, how money works with businesses. With your capstone projects over here, you need a grand total of 60 credits, electives, but this is your core stuff here, career search strategy, legal ethics of business, supply chain operations, business interview techniques, but they don't tell you about a basic playbook about how your net worth is factored in. How does credit work? How does business loans work? How's the housing? How does your student loan work? All those basic things that you need to understand, like how does help building your credit build a business or build your family. And I go back to this. I go back to Chat GPT. Let me move my face here. Why is financial education not taught in public schools? I know I went over this beginning, but it bears mentioning towards the end. Curriculum, although schools already have a packed curriculum with core subjects of math, science, language arts, social studies, and adding financial education could mean cutting time from these subjects. Agreed. Standardized testing focus. Many schools are heavily focused on subjects that are tested in standardized forms because that's how schools make their money. They don't make it on teaching financial education. Lack of resources. You have social studies teachers. Again, respect. I'm a social studies teacher. I love my social studies teacher people out there. I love you. You guys are like the most amazing group of people I've ever met. We have amazing conversations. But if we're being honest with one another, a lot of us are in bad situations. We're not great with money ourselves. And then we're supposed to teach others how to be good with our money. Yeah, we can teach the heck out of US history or world history or civics or government or these specialized subjects, we could teach some economics, but we can't even balance our own checkbook. We can't even balance our own finances. We're in debt up to the eyeballs, and we're expected to teach kids how to be good with money. Again, we keep putting the emphasis on the parents. It's the parents' responsibility. The parents. But the problem is, what if the parents are terrible with money or they're consumers and they just keep consuming, and they're not good with it? And then on top of it, when I went down here and I talked about and I asked it, what was it? Where was it at? Does the government want its people to be financially ignorant? Is that what it wants? And again, not necessarily true, but coming down here to the impact on society. Society needs a mix of employees and business owners. While the W-2 employee provides stability to the workforce, stability to the workforce. We need employees. We need people to um stop sharing here. We need people to work. We need people to pay taxes. We need professionals in our society. We need people to drive those businesses because there's only two type of people you can work for. You can work for the government or you can work for a company. Either one, we need those workers to do those jobs. But the problem is we don't teach the other side of it. We don't teach the business side of it. We don't teach the investing side of it. We don't even teach people how what to do with their own money when they get it. Yeah, you become this high paid attorney or doctor, or I won't say teacher because most people teachers don't make enough, but we get paid to do these jobs. We do a job 9 to 5, we come home, we get our check. Now what do we do with it? We pay our expenses, and then once our expenses are paid, then we have fun with the money. We spend it on food, going out, enjoying ourselves, and then we have nothing left. We don't have anything. And again, that's why my shirt says because schools don't teach this. It kind of does, and it's well intentioned, and it means well, and it's trying to. But you have the blind leading the blind. You have people who are not good with money teaching those philosophies about money. You have people that are consumers, that are W-2 employees, that are teaching the kids about how to be the same. And why is that? Again, even ChatGPT says that our economy is stabilized by the W-2 employee. So when we say the very generic, oh, school didn't teach me about that. School just, it doesn't do that for me. Why? Why does it not do that? Well, it doesn't do that because the system is designed for W-2 employees. It's designed for you to be the worker. It's designed for you to do society a job, to be a good quote unquote citizen. You go and do your job. You're doing society a great justice with whatever you're doing. And everyone does. Like we need trash workers. We need people who deal with water. We need electricians for our electricity. We need people to work in our supermarkets to make sure that we have food. We need to make sure that we have all these great, amazing people, these great workers, these people who are very smart and well-intentioned people, but smart doesn't account for ignorance. And I'm not saying that um, people are stupid. It's they don't. Ignorance is the definition that you don't know better. You don't have the information. And I go back to this. If we taught specifically financial education, if we taught personal finance, if we taught credit, if we talk about how these systems work, what is a student loan? How does it work? How can you buy a property? How can you buy more? All those different things, those are different skill sets that are just not taught because it's not the design purpose of the school system. And again, we could take another history deep dive into where do colleges come from? Where does the school system come from? Who designs it? We could take another deep dive into that for another day. But again, my point and purpose today was to educate you on the big question. Well, school didn't teach me that. Yeah, of course it didn't teach you that. But why didn't it teach you that? Because it wants you to be a reader. It wants you to be able to do math. It wants you, and that's it. But the school system wants you to be able to have an awareness of social studies and awareness of science and aware of all these things and STEM and was it Avid and how to go to college to get this job and once you get the job and you're high paying, now what? Now what? Now you're a very good employee. Now you're a very good worker. Now you're a very high paid or low paid person, but you're unhappy because you don't have the things in your life or you're not where you thought you should be. And I don't know who that necessarily falls on. Does that fall on the government? Because the government needs its W-2, it needs its taxes to feed itself. It needs its taxes to be able to run all the systems out there. Now we could talk about the quantitative easing, and that's a whole other about what the government really does with money. That's a whole other system. But for our generic purposes, is the government needs that money. It needs to feel it. And then you have this pot of money. And again, I'm going to overgeneralize here extremely. If you have a dollar, like the government makes $1 in taxes, it's got to split that dollar amongst all the different entities, the police officers, the fire workers, the health and safety, the school people. You need to split that dollar up so you're on a budget. And if you work for any of these government systems, you only hear budget, 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 because this is all the money, because this is all the money we get. And if you want to raise that budget, that means you have to tax your people. That means you need that steady income of taxes. So as I'm starting to veer off a little bit in my conversation, I just want to really focus on why are we here? How did we get here? And it's a long, I don't want to call it 12-year because you're talking about pre-K and you talk about kindergarten's a year. You're talking about like we'll call it like a 15 to possibly 20-year process where you're being indoctrinated into becoming a W-2 employee. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. I want to make sure there's very clear. There's nothing I keep talking about, but it's one side of this coin. It's one side of the argument. It's why people only know these sorts of things. And when you talk about how's this person buying multiple properties, how's this person utilizing debt, because debt's a bad thing. I was told debt is horrible in school because it's a consumer mindset. It's not a producer mindset. Those mindsets are not talked about. And even when they actually get to that, how long is that? You get a week, you get 4 days, you get 2 weeks, 3 weeks, because you only have a semester. A semester is 4 to 5 months tops. And that means you got to cover all that stuff and how much of that sticks with you over the course of time, where the school system can say, we checked our box, we gave you your financial education, now see you later and go be a productive citizen in our society. So I will leave it at that. But my question to you is, do you think that this is accurate? Do you think this is an accurate portrayal? Do you think I'm completely off base here? Do you think that my documents are not fair? Does your state do it differently? And do you feel that the school system does a good job teaching financial education? Because that's the drive of my channel. I'm a teacher. I'm in the system. I work this system. I know how it works. I know how it operates. I know how I teach. I watch other teachers teach. I know that there's a teacher shortage. So the quality of teachers not there. And then we put the financial education on the social studies teachers. That's not in math. Now you can sit there and say, well, you got to have some math. And I would agree with that. You got to be able to add, subtract, and adding and subtracting. You cannot do a balance sheet without addition and subtraction, the basics of it. So you have to, so say the math does not contribute to that. But the math teaches you how to do the adding and subtracting, where the social studies teachers are put in the position of how does that work in society? How do you take that skill of adding and subtracting and how do you apply it to this? If you're even aware of it, and then you get these um you get your curriculum for the year, and then you're looking at it and you're like, okay, I'm going to teach this, and financial education is not even in there. And if it is, it's economics. And economics, again, great, need to teach it, not knocking it at all, love economics, got to know supply and demand, got to know how things move from one area, got to know how this civilization rose or this civilization fell. All that's good stuff, but it doesn't help you file your taxes. It doesn't help you get benefits or deductions, or it doesn't tell you like how to use credit in a wise way to build assets, or to keep out of bad debt and keeping it with all that stuff. So um, I leave it to you with this. Let me know what you think in the comments. I would be glad to know. Hopefully today you found some value in what I had to give you. I think that this is a very important subject, and it goes way deeper than this. But I hope you can take it to someone who's been in the industry, still in the industry. I'm an educator by heart. Even if you took me out of the job and you sit there and say you're not working in the school anymore, you're not working in that school, I would still teach. That's what I do. I've been built to do that. And hopefully I've been able to give this to you in a step-by-step process that shows you all the way from kindergarten, all the way to college, that the system is designed for you to be a worker. And again, when you sit there and say, well, the school system didn't teach, again, it's not its design purpose. And even though the government says, hey, we're trying here to teach financial literacy, we're making efforts, we're putting these courses, we're creating these standards, and we're doing it, we're making these efforts. Do you have certified teachers to be able to teach that? Are you giving your students enough time? Because the system is designed to show that the students can master reading, writing, and math and all, and then the government gives them money because hey, our school was an A school, or our school hit this metric, and we get this funding to keep the school system running. That's how it's built. And then you have these high paid workers that are amazing people doing amazing jobs in the world, but are awful with money and have no idea. And then they pass that bad information along to the children. And then the cycle repeats. And it just doesn't seem to get any better. And I'm hoping to partially break that cycle with this channel because I can throw a rock and hit a school. You can hit an elementary school, middle school, but where's the financial education school which teaches that? From K to 12. Where's the financial education school? Throw me a rock and hit it. And you can sit there and say, well, there's business school, there's college. Again, not its true identity. Its identity is to teach you how to work for someone else's business. Be an accountant, teach you how to work for someone else's accounting firm. You are a worker. There's a difference between a worker mentality and an owner mentality. Very different skill sets, very different thought processes, very different how you analyze and process those problems and how you go about solving those solutions. But those should be processes taught at an early age so that when you get to be 18, 19, 20, we can make better decisions. And again, I want to leave it on this. It doesn't say that, man, I don't want you to be a lawyer. I don't want you to be a doctor. I don't want you to be all the, I keep referencing this because those are high paid jobs. Um, I don't want you to be a web. I do want you to be all those things. And it's not to say that you wouldn't be a doctor, but maybe you would be a doctor that's better with your money. Maybe you'd be a doctor that knows how to invest a lot better. Maybe you're a doctor that creates a Fortune $500 a hospital. I don't know. Maybe you're a lawyer that goes on to create this massive law firm instead of working for the law firm and venturing out on your own instead of trying to make partner and trying to make all those ranks up there. Maybe you would just do better. Or forget it. Maybe you would still be your W-2 self, right? Working for the government or working for the company. And maybe you would just have a lot more money. Maybe you would have a lot more freedom. Maybe you would have a lot more investments, maybe some properties, maybe some stocks and bonds, maybe some mutual funds. Maybe you're doing some investing over here. Maybe you're being the bank and you're loaning people money and people are paying you. And maybe you're doing all that. Maybe you're just doing better because it's not to say that W-2 is bad, but W-2 normally to a consumer mindset where you consume everything and you're left with nothing instead of producing something. So again, let me know what you think about us. Hopefully, I've left you some value. Let me know if you think what I've said is accurate. Let me know what the school system has taught you as far as financial education. And I will catch you on the next one. I will see you later.